What is temptation? How to resist a temptation, and if you fail to resist temptation, what are the consequences we are going to face in future? How bad those consequences will be if you fail to resist a temptation. Have you ever failed to control yourself while taking food? You don't want to eat that food, or you don't want to eat that much quantity of food, but you fail to control yourself and you ate all the food and suffered the next day. What is called? It is called temptation. Do you want to know how to resist temptation in each and every walk of your life? And do you want to know how to control your temptations? Temptations can be smaller and it can be even bigger. At smaller level, if you don't control our temptations, it can lead small consequences, small problems. But at higher level, at a bigger level, if you don't control our temptations, it can ruin your life. It can spoil your family. It can spoil your reputation in the society, and you may even lose job also. If you want to know how to control temptations, how to resist temptations, please continue watching this podcast. I am going to share some tips. You can use those tips and you can resist temptation in your life. In this podcast, we are going to learn how to resist temptations in life. What actually is a temptation? A temptation is something which you don't want to do, which you don't want to commit, but you are forced to commit because you are succumbed to your temptation. It can be even food habits, it can be like your procrastination, you may be having a kind of laziness in your life. You don't want to do all those things, but you got tempted to do those things. Most naturally, you went to shopping and you don't want to purchase beyond your budget, but you are forced to purchase beyond your budget, and that leads to fall you into debts because you can't resist or you fail to resist temptation. So temptation is very dangerous thing in our life. We should learn how to resist our temptations. So to resist your temptation, here are few tips. First one, avoid can't in your life. Don't think that you can't resist your temptation. You can resist your temptation. You need to have strong will. You need to have a proper goal. You need to have a proper plan to resist your temptations. People without having strong will, commitment, dedication and willpower, they only succumb to these temptations and they can't resist temptations. Second one, whenever you identify your temptations, once you identify what is your temptation, where you are getting tempted, once you complete that identification of your temptation, then try to resist the temptation in the first step or in the first moment only. When you realize that or when you identified your temptations, the areas of your temptation, in the beginning only you have to resist yourself. If you can resist your temptations at the beginning, then you can easily overcome the temptation of doing something. For example, you look at the food, you don't want to eat that food. The moment you don't want to eat that food, come outside of the food, or you have to keep the food out of your sight. Either you have to keep your food outside your sight, or you have to come outside the sight of the food. Then you can resist your temptation. If you keep watching the food and if you keep watching other people eating that food which you don't want to eat, then automatically you will feel tempted and you will get tempted more and more. The temptation levels increases and you will definitely going to eat that food finally. So identify your temptations and then understand how those temptations trigger you to commit and succumb to those temptations, and then avoid the places and areas or come outside of the place where you are getting tempted, or keep the food outside, out of your sight, I mean to say. Second thing, or second point, if you want to resist your temptation is have a proper plan in your life. What you want to achieve, and within 1 week, within 1 month and within 1 year. If you have a proper goal, then automatically you can resist these temptations. Now third one is, to resist temptation, you need to have proper discipline in your life. Self-discipline is very important if you want to resist temptation. And next tip is, think about the consequences. If you fail to resist temptation, what are the consequences you are going to face? You know that if you can't resist the temptation, if you can't avoid that, what are the future consequences? At lower level, if you can't avoid temptation of food, then you will eat that food, and the consequences is it will make you unhealthy and you will get a lot of health problems. You may suffer from obesity, heart diseases, all those things. So at lower level, you have to know how to resist these temptations. At higher level, for example, you can't resist a very fatal temptation in your life. Getting attracted to somebody, or getting tempted by alcohol, or tempted by TV advertisements, or you got tempted to commit some crime in your life. Those temptations will spoil your life, will spoil your family's reputation, and ultimately you will lead a degradeful life. So think about the consequences which you are going to face if you can't resist the temptation. So if you want to resist temptation, I'll repeat once again, 4 things you have to follow. First thing is, believe that you can resist the temptation. Any temptation in this world you can resist. You need to have strong willpower, you need to have dedication, then you can easily resist temptation. Second one, identify what are the areas you are getting tempted. If you are getting tempted in those areas, avoid going to those areas. That means if you got tempted by food, or you are getting tempted by doing something wrong, or tempted to watch TV, tempted to watch social media, then come outside of that, or keep those things out of your sight. Then third thing is, you need to have self-discipline in your life. With self-discipline, you can resist temptation. And the fourth one is, think about the consequences. If you fail to resist a temptation, what are the consequences you are going to face? What kind of life you are going to lead in future? See, resisting temptation is not so easy, but you can do it if you have strong will and if you have a goal in your life. There are so many temptations every day we come across, we face in our life, and we have to overcome those temptations. Resist those temptations at the first sight. Then it is easy to resist the temptation. Otherwise you will fall trap into that resistance of, otherwise you will fall into that temptation, and that will create a lot of problems in your life. So with this, we come to the end of this podcast. If you like this podcast, please subscribe to my channel, hit the bell notification so that you can receive latest updates information the moment I upload videos on YouTube. Every day at 21 hours Indian Standard Time, I will be available with a new podcast on YouTube, and every Sunday I come with a video podcast. You can watch me on screen on every Sunday. So till next Sunday, keep watching this podcast. I'll be back with a new topic in the next podcast on next Sunday. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.